Good morning, everybody. My name is Russ. This is sailing vessel Tabletop. Current location is Rio Dulce in Guatemala, waiting on hurricane season. It's the middle of August, which means we got at least a couple months to go, probably 3 months before it's safe to move. I mean, it's never really safe, but we're doing okay here. I haven't been very active. Just put up the sails to kind of make sure there's no dead things in them or live things living in them, that kind of thing. But I haven't been too active, and I'll tell you, part of it is I'm not feeling well. I had an infection that kind of had me almost at all stop for a few weeks, and I also just got over a couple days of food poisoning. It's like, I haven't felt so hot lately. But it is the middle of August, and that means in a few months it's going to be time to move. And the one thing I've learned, if I've learned anything at all, is if you want to sail in the Caribbean forever and hang out in places like Rio Dulce or Marathon for long stretches, that's fine. But if you want to get cruising and sailing and moving, you have to get the freak out of the Caribbean. I mean, this hurricane season is dominant. You know, you've got like 3 or 4 or 5 months a year where you just can't move. You just have to go someplace safe, and that's not good for the psyche when you're sitting someplace and you know you'll be there for 5 months. So it takes a little bit of a kick in the ass sometimes to get moving. But I am moving now, and we're very keen on getting this ship underway, and we're going to head someplace out of the Caribbean as quickly as possible. So I've had the sails up today for inspection, and I found this is a brand new sail, and I must be doing something wrong with the way I fold it up, because there's a tear here, you can see it, and there's another one over here someplace. And I have some of the patching material, so I think I'm going to have to take this sail off and talk to some people who really know how to do this kind of stuff and make a repair. But that's not today's job. But first, let's go inside the boat, and I'll show you some of the projects. The first one I worked on is the head. Finally going after this area. It has had the ugliest Formica, you know, and it's got all these stains and bleached marks and stuff like that over the years. So I demobilized the old faucet. They're here. So the sink itself, I've decided to recondition, and I'll reseal that drain plug in the bottom. I could not get all that off without using destructive means, so I made the decision to go with the original sink. Well, the next task is to pour the liquid tabletop epoxy down here, and it's going to be a bit of a challenge because the boat, first of all, is not on a complete even keel. Okay, for one thing, I generally heel a little bit to starboard, and you can see also the surface is not flat. It curls down quite a bit. That's about so that I had to build a berm using just scraps of wood and PVC board, and that's just brown caulk, to help seal it, because when you pour this liquid epoxy, it's going to flow. It would all just pour out here and then would run around and run down to the floor. So in the head, I already have the heat gun plugged in, ready to go. And I kind of guess at the total amount I need. It's not a crime if you don't use it all. And I am going to go just a wee bit heavy on the hardener. Hell, I don't know. I really don't know how much is too much. Shit. And that's why you have drop cloth, baby. So now I just mix this up. I want to get the color mixed in first, then I add the hardener. That's a lovely color. The number one reason epoxy jobs fail is a failure to mix the resin and the hardener together. And try not to get a fucking bug in it. Okay, so now I'm just going to sit here and stir for a few minutes. Because it's hot in here, and I cannot let myself sweat and drip onto the surface. That would be a disaster. And now I'm about ready, so I'm going to take the cloth gloves back off. So I'm going to pour it in the corners first. And I'm going to use my right hand for pouring, and I guess I'll use my left hand for pouring. My right hand is going to be the smearing hand. And I did my best to get the boat on a level keel by moving water jugs around. And I see a fault already with my system. No, there's a high spot. Some spots it's going to be very, very thick. Some spots it's going to be too thin, and you'll feel imperfections under it. So I'm just standing by here with the world's prettiest bathroom countertop on a 45-year-old boat, and I'm just waiting for it to cure. I've got about 15 more minutes, and it should be kind of solidifying. And really, gravity is doing all the work. There's nothing else I can do. Alrighty, well, this is the almost final product. I've got 3 coats of tabletop epoxy down, and the surface looks fine. I've gotten pretty good at getting this stuff, you know, using the heat gun and stuff to get imperfections out. I guess I would say with this kind of installation, it's very, very difficult to get it perfect because I'm going to have to sand this edge down. This is what the cabin looks like when you're running hose. So we're running the new green and orange hose, which is basically garden hose. But that's what I have available, and it's 1/2-inch hose, and it's going to hold the pressure, no problem. It's going through this cabinet, you know, running down here and through the hole in the deck. And then once it's under here, it's pretty much a straight shot, so I can pull all the way from the end. But you kind of need to have access visually, you know, to see if it's hanging up. The first place it'll probably likely hang up is going through this little tortuous spot and outboard of the tank. So that's why I have to pull the deck plates up. But it's not bad. And really what makes the job a lot more fun is that I've got the AC going. You know, I gotta admit, that's a real luxury on a boat. Most folks don't run AC. Certainly cruisers don't typically do it. But I made a decision when I was in Belize to put air conditioning in the boat just because I was going to spend the summer here in Guatemala. I knew it'd just be hot and I'd be dripping sweat otherwise. It does make it a lot more comfortable to do the work, so I'm happy for that. So, okay there, it's Tuesday. I know that because it's Taco Tuesday. But we're here because this job is about done. So, what you're looking at is the new faucet, which rotates to do this number, like that, so that the door can pass above. But if you have it raised, you can just tilt it out of the way. But right now we want it in the deploying position because I'm going to fire up the water. Turn on the water. Okay, you heard the water pump come on. Now, this is a new one. Let's just see what happens. That's expected. I mean, all in all, not much to really brag about with that job. It's a job I've wanted to get done and be done with it, and finally I am. So I'll slap a coat of paint on that cabinet this morning as soon as I clean up out here in the cockpit, and then we'll call it a day for that. So that sure looks like a mango tree. This is the resort side of the marina. They do stern tying for most of the boats, but I don't like to stern tie my boat because I've got davits like this guy, see, and a hydro vane behind my boat. See Quicksilver here. So where do you put your dinghy in a time like this? That's I haven't used the dinghy for 4 days. 4 days on the boat. Wee. What the fuck is that? Dead bug. Got the hat. Got something to drink. Got my duffel bag. Let's go. And this is pretty much how I typically steer the dinghy when I'm underway. I keep it at idle speed. I don't go much faster than this, although I am going to pump up a little bit because I can get better steerage. But I don't have a need to go any faster than this. And it's been 4 days since I've left the sailboat. A couple of reasons for that. One of them being that I've not felt well. I just got over this long infection, as I mentioned before, and had food poisoning last couple of days, and then you just don't feel much like going out on excursions, and you certainly don't feel hungry, and you certainly don't go through a lot of groceries. So today's my first day ashore in 4 days. And I'm happy that it's not blazing sunlight, because I had to close up the hatches on the boat because it looked like it just might want to rain if I left. So I'm just standing up in the boat. This is how I typically drive the dinghy. If I lock the motor midship. I always encounter a couple of fishermen working from the canoes. Under the big bridge over there, that's where the colectivos are, where you catch the vans to get land transport. I'll tell you, that's a miserable way to travel. Okay, you see dead ahead of me the 3 green roofs. We're going to get overtaken here. This is what is fucking normal. I mean, people just, it's just the way it is. Look how fast their sense of proximity and what's too close is just so much different than what ours is. Over here is Bruno's, where the catamaran is and a handful of boats beyond. That's a Bruno's marina. Good restaurant and nice little bar. And we are under the big bridge just to get out of the sun. That's what these guys decided to stage the buses. That's how much leg room you have. Hey everybody, thank you for watching the video, and again welcome to any new folks, and thank you to all my long-time stalwarts. I do appreciate that. So that's a quick snip of what it's like living down here in Guatemala in Rio Dulce, and I would say I'm glad I came, and I like it here. And it's just hot and humid as I expected, but every night I fire up the AC for a couple hours, and really it's pretty easy living it, you gotta admit. It's only a couple $100 a month in the marina here, so really life is pretty easy and nothing much to complain about. But I am looking ahead towards, you know, 2, 3, 4 months from now, when the hurricane season is over and we start getting those cold fronts that should bring a couple, 2, 3 days of northerly winds sometimes. That's when you can make progress to the east out of here, and I need to be ready. And to that end, I need to get the right work done on the boat while I'm here. And so I will start with the top of the mast. Now, we've shown this before on the video a long time ago, and the condition still exists. And by God, one way or another, I'm going to get these shivs fixed. So I'll point out that the port side shivs don't rotate. It's as simple as that. Okay, and so that's those are the pulleys for the halyard on for the Genoa. And so that is going to be fixed. Other than that, I would say normal haul-out work, including, you know, sanding and re-bottom painting. I'm also going to put on this stuff. This is prop speed. This is a coating, an epoxy-based anti-fouling coating you put on your propellers to try to keep them clear, because my propeller really seems to attract a lot of stuff, you know, and it's not looking too good. So I don't know, I might even consider replacing the propeller if I can find one down here. I have fiberglass work to do. There are some blisters we pointed out. I showed you those on a video when I was up at Marathon, and I'll show a picture of it here. You see those little blisters above the rub rail. Those need to get ground out, you know, before we do any painting. Simple as that. It's just plain fiberglass work. There are some fiberglass corrections, some fittings on the deck and on the hull that need to be abandoned that really don't have any function anymore. Namely, the black water tank, the shit tank, you know, the pump out and the vent for the shit tank. The fittings are still there in the boat and they're not being used, and there's really no reason at all I shouldn't just grind those puppies out and fiberglass over the holes, and I am going to do all that. And that's really the main thrust of the work. Now that I've kind of gotten myself moving again with the head, I think I'm really keen on getting started. So we're going to start with trying to find somebody to go to the top of the mast and see what their opinion is on how to fix these shivs. And there's a specialist up in Cayo Camado who does this, and I would go there next. That's Chloe and her husband. I forget where they're from, but they do this kind of work all the time. And it will be a nice little excursion for me, I think, to take a few days and head up there. But either way, however that works out, the key is getting the right work done. The right work done. And I suppose one other job I haven't mentioned is a seacock for the engine coolant system. That's one of the old bronze style valves, and it just does not stop water. Man, when you shut it, water still pours in unabated. So I've already bought the new seacock. It's a Marilon valve, and that'll get replaced once we haul the boat out. Next video we'll show you the details of all this stuff. I just wanted to hit you with that real quick. So other than that, life is good down here in the Rio, as we call it, and it's hot, it's humid, but we're not going to get hurricanes, and that's why you're here. And so again, thank you for sticking with the channel, guys. We'll be underway in just a couple of months, and I think what I'm really excited about is kind of planning out where we're going to go and when, and I'll be happy to take you out with me. So with that, take care. All right, bye-bye, guys.